Hello and welcome to week 2. There's a little bit of chatter in the background of this video, and I apologize. It's not always quiet in my office, which I wasn't expecting today because I'm used to COVID times and I'm making things in my kitchen, but today I'm in my office. So I apologize for the little bit of chatter, and I will try to get you on board with what's happening this week as quickly as possible in case it might be irritating. I won't know till I go back and watch it. So this past week, you engaged with a podcast in the discussion. I'll start taking a look at those tomorrow morning. I typically start my grading for the week on Wednesday morning because then I'm grading things about the same time, even for people who have turned things in late. It's kind of a psychological trick I play on myself so that I'm as fair as possible uh, to grade all the similar work at about the same time together. I'm in the same mood. I've had the same externalities. And so you'll start seeing grading and commentary each week roll in on Wednesday, usually not before. This coming week's work builds a little bit on what you did last week. So I got a number of emails this past week that said, "What do you mean? What concepts did I look up?" And to each one of those, I responded with something along the lines of, "You should be I should be looking things up, and I've been teaching for 22 years. Not just when I find a word I literally have never heard before, but every time I run across a word I don't typically use, there's all this nuance to what words mean. And we're not usually attuned to that nuance because we haven't actually done a deep dive on what the word means. So, anytime you run across a concept, a war you've never heard of, a governmental panel you've never heard of, you look it up, you get some background. Every time you see a word that you're like, that's not in my everyday vocabulary, you look it up, you get some background. Every time you see a person's name referenced, you look it up, you get some background. So, this is what we do to read deeply. It's so that we understand as much as possible, as deeply as possible. And it is what we expect of you in terms of being a reader and a thinker in higher education, but quite frankly, also in business and out in the world doing things like voting. So, think of it as practice for all of your real life. And when you respond to me, I knew all this, I didn't need to look it up. I'm going to push back against that. I'm going to do it gently, but I'm going to push back against it because even I am looking things up. Because it's not about whether I'm smart or dumb, it's about how deeply can I understand what I'm looking at. And that's part and parcel of why your assignment will be a 100 if you complete the assignment. If you talk about the pieces that you were assigned this week, in the reflection that you have coming up this coming Sunday, and you do it in a minimum of 2 pages. So I put a page minimum on there because very often we're tempted to do the least amount possible, which means we're thinking as surfacely as possible, as simplistically as possible. But we're going to practice in this class going deeper. So you need to write a full 2 pages, not half a page is your name, then my name, then the class name, then the class time, then the assignment title, and then you get around to writing. Like if you hand something like that in, you've got a third of the first page missing. So you've got like 15 points right off the top. So I'm not kidding when I say 2 pages minimum. And your grade is based on staying on topic, not being right, not having the right stuff to say, staying on topic, addressing what you've been asked completely, meaning you did all of the questions, you didn't leave some out because you didn't want to answer them, and writing a minimum of 2 pages. So once you get that done, you can be assured of your own success because that means you're thinking deeply about what you're reading. And right now, that's the point. When I say reading, I also mean listening. I also mean watching because you're taking information in your real life, even in college, in your other classes, in a multiple modality kind of way, not just text. So we're practicing all of that in here. You'll be reading, you'll be listening only, you'll be watching and listening together, and then you'll be responding. So that's the work you have ahead of you for the next few weeks. We started this week. Again, if you have any questions, I have office hours. You can jump on and talk to me live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I respond live on Mondays. No, not Mondays. Wednesdays and Fridays. I do not respond on the weekend, and I will respond to emergencies on Monday. But other than that, like if it's just a generic thing, I don't respond on Monday. So you can get in touch with me multiple ways, multiple days, and I'm here to help. Let me know how I can help you. And here we go. It's when it gets real.